Hey guys, welcome to season 2 of the Balanced Fit and Free podcast. Thank you so much for waiting for me to come back. I hope that you were able to catch up on some of the past episodes. There was 96 episodes that I recorded in 2 years. So plenty of content and information for you to follow up on. And honestly, a lot of those podcasts were really some of my best stuff, like the stuff that I truly believe in. So make sure that, if you haven't caught up on some of those episodes, please do, because they're very valid. And even though they're like a year or two old, some of them, they still, like I said, are very valid today. So I took a little short break from the podcast because here's the deal. I was in this holding pattern. I love what I do. I love helping women. I love creating this podcast. I love teaching. I love presenting. I love, solving problems and working with people to feel better. And for many years, that feeling better was helping people lose weight, because when we lose weight, we do feel better. If you need to lose weight, you feel better. But as you know, I've been trying so hard over the last couple of years to be anti-diet. Listen, I promise you don't have to follow a specific diet. You can create your own diet, your own nutrition plan by listening to your body. So that's what I've been kind of preaching over the years, because that's what I did. That's how I changed my body. That's how I've been able to keep the weight off for, close to 18 years now. But my story of weight loss, that happened almost 18 years ago, is kind of old news. It's kind of boring. It doesn't feel like my mission anymore. Although I can't really say that. I mean, it's if somebody needs help and I can see where I can help them, I certainly want to help them. But, weight loss is kind of, I don't want to say boring to me, but it's a little boring to me because everybody's doing it. You can find 150 coaches by a snap of your fingers of somebody that can help you lose weight. And so I thought, that just isn't really my passion. It's my passion is helping people feel better, is helping people change the way they look at their life, change from the root, from their core, change who they are by changing their habits, changing their life, truly living from this deeper place. So over the last couple of years, I started with this podcast trying to get my message out, and I'm still going to do that. I'm still fighting for that. But over the years, I've been what is my new success story? What do I actually feel like my new calling is for? Because we all have this, right? We all have this in our life where the thing that you've loved for so long, pretty soon you don't love it the same. And that feels wrong because you're but that's what I do. That's who I am. I have to keep doing it. But we don't, right? Here's the thing about life. Life is ever evolving, right? We are not the same person today as we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. We change. And I think that's good. Do you want to be the exact same person the entire life? I mean, yes, you're still the same human, but as we learn and grow and experience new things, we become a different version of ourselves. So, I love that. I love that. But one thing I don't love is this whole talk about the new me. I'm going to lose weight and become the new me, and it sounds so catchy and awesome. But why do we have to be a new me? We can just be an evolved, better version of me, but we don't have to be a new me. No, because all of the things, that's choices and things that we've learned and things that we've experienced and done up to this point, right, this second, has created who we are. And we have the choice going forward to be that same person or to continue to grow and evolve. So I'm telling you all this because I am getting ready, not getting ready. I have officially changed my coaching practice, but I want you to know that you can too. I mean, you may not be a coach, but maybe you've been doing the same job forever and you just feel like there's no other option because that's what you've done. Maybe you've been in the same relationships forever because that's what you think you have to do. Maybe you've been eating the same breakfast for 15 years because that's what you think you have to do. Like we don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to do the things just because you've been doing them, if that makes sense. So this is where like a change of identity comes in. And this is where it's kind of scary, So I was just saying to my husband this morning that I'm having a really hard time letting the fitness trainer in me go. And I've mentioned that before on the podcast. There's like, I started my career as a fitness instructor, turned personal trainer, turned nutritionist, turned, like it evolved, like mindset coach. I've been kind of like learning and growing. And every time I hit that next level, I'm like, oh, but I really want to be up there. So I learn, I take another course, I study, I read 15 books. In fact, my what's this called? Microphone is stacked on all the books that I'm currently reading because I can't get enough. Like I can't get enough. And I don't know why. I love it. I love to feed my brain and to learn and then share that with you. But as we, grow and learn, and I can't remember what I was saying. So there you go. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, as we learn and grow, it's okay to evolve into something different. And so I think I was talking about my fitness days. In Greensboro, North Carolina, where I live, I still run into people at the grocery store and I still people, out at restaurants or whatever. And they're like, hey, like, are you teaching boot camp anymore? Or where can I find you for classes? Or, hey, you really should open a new studio. I would love to go to a new studio. And I'm like, gosh, they obviously haven't been following because like fitness is about 10% of what I do now, maybe 5%. And that gives me this weird, like punch in the gut feeling because I'm like, oh, gosh, that's like what people think I should do. So maybe I should continue doing that, or maybe I should go back to that. And then I stop and I take an assessment of where I'm at. And I'm like, no, because even though I love fitness and I still work out a lot and I still teach a couple cycle classes a week and I teach one online class a week, I love it, but it's not who I am anymore. And that's okay. And so what I'm trying to say to you is that if you're at a point in your life where you feel stuck, where you feel like there's something more for you, don't feel like you have to stay in the same place, right? You can still be you. You can still be the amazing you and evolve and move forward. Because when we start staying stuck and not letting ourselves move forward and grow, when we let ourselves, stay in the same place, we are missing out. We're missing out on new relationships. We're missing out on new opportunities, maybe seeing new places in the world. So when we close one door, right, another door opens. And that was really hard for me. It's like I can see that in a lot of areas in my life where I've done that. In fact, you right now could probably stop and say to yourself, where in my life have I been scared to stop something, but when I did, something better came along, something bigger came along, something that I never would have found had I stopped being or doing the other thing, right? I bet you can think of things. And we can also think of things like for example, my husband and I, several years ago, we were out looking and we found this house that we loved. Like, wow, it was like such an upgrade from our old house. And so we got a realtor and we looked at it and it was going to be really like not affordable. Like at the time, it just wasn't affordable. And it just felt so sad because we were like, oh, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do and somebody bought it. And we were so sad, right? But fast forward 2 years and our circumstances changed. And now we live in an even better house. Like sometimes we have to close one door and be patient and wait. And the best next thing is going to come along. Okay. So what does that have to do with anything, right? So I wanted to just say to you, my whole point of today is welcome you back to season 2, let you know that there's some changes in my world of coaching, but what does that mean actually for you as listeners? Well, it doesn't really mean very much, actually, because I am going to continue with the same types of content. Okay. And let me explain what I mean. So I have, if you are not on my not my wait list, my email list, if you're not on my email list, or if you didn't see on social media my announcement, I have decided that, through all of this heartache and decision, I finally ripped the Band-Aid off and decided to go for it. But I have decided that I am going to be working with people who are newly diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease that I have, and or women who have hypothyroid. And hypothyroid is slow thyroid. And the reason I want to do this, the reason I want to work with these people is because it's kind of my newest success story for myself. I was talking earlier about my success story back in the day was that I lost 65 pounds by not being on a crazy diet. I did it with eating balanced meals, good exercise, stress management, sleep, the whole deal. And so that is what, when you are successful at something, you want to scream it from the mountaintop, right? You want everybody to know that you can do it, because if I did it, you can do it. So that for a long time was my mission. And it still is under the umbrella of my mission. But my newest success was being able to reverse my Hashimoto symptoms. Because when I got diagnosed, at the time, I was so upset and disappointed and frustrated because I thought I was doing all the things right. But it took a really big, look. I had to take a really big look at my life and see that, yes, I was doing a lot of things great, but I had actually fallen into the all or nothing mindset just naturally as a coach, as a trainer, as an instructor, as a nutrition coach. I was taking all of this information and doubling and tripling down on it, too much. So what happens with autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's and others is that it's really created from stress. It's really created from stress, both ends of the spectrum, right? So on one end of the spectrum, we have the couch potato person who, doesn't exercise, eats processed food, doesn't get enough sleep, overworks, despite, them, wanting to do it or not, they are not getting anything done. They're super unhealthy from the, underactive and eating poorly phase. Then we have on the very far extreme other end is we have the people that are really focused on their eating, really focused on exercising, really focused on taking supplements, really focused on, doing it right, and almost at a fault. And that was me. It was me because, well, I was teaching up to 20, 30 classes sometimes a week, which is way, 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 way too much. No matter what shape you're in, it's way too much exercise. It's ridiculous. Did I know it at the time? Not initially. But when I could barely walk into my house from the studio, I'd drive home on a Friday, get out of my car, and I could barely walk into my house. That was when I started to think, oh, this probably isn't good, but what do I do? I've built this. I've created this. Now what do I do? So I kept going. I kept going. And then I started to kind of gain a little bit of weight. And so what did I do? Well, I better eat less. I must be eating too much. So I cut out food. So now I was over-exercising, under-eating, and trying to keep up this persona, trying to keep up, and be this role model and be this person. So not only was I physically completely stressed out, but I was also mentally and emotionally tapped out, and my body took the beating for it. Right. And so after years of this, I ended up with an autoimmune disease, and I was pissed. I was so mad at myself because when I realized and learned everything about and everything I could about Hashimoto's, I realized that I did that. I was at this far extreme. So no, I wasn't a couch potato. No, I wasn't eating processed junk food. At the time, I wasn't even drinking alcohol. I mean, now I do. Now I'm a little bit more in the middle. I'm not a little too crazy about it anymore, but I'm happy because I realized being somewhere in the middle is actually healthier. You don't have to be a complete psycho about exercise or what you're eating and counting. And that was the other thing. I started counting every morsel of food that went in my mouth because I couldn't figure out why I was gaining weight. And I was gaining weight because I was overstressed and my body was in protection mode. My body was not safe. So what, your metabolism does when you're not safe and it's too stressed out is it protects you, right? It protects you by like adding as much fat as it can. And that sounds crazy, right? Because you think, well, if I just don't eat, I'm definitely going to lose weight. Yeah, but I was eating, just not the right amount, and then overexercising. So anyway, I did it to myself, right? So fast forward, when I learned about it and I started practicing better what I was teaching, I was still exercising, I was lifting weights, I was walking more, getting a lot more sleep. It took some time. I had to really fix my gut health. By taking out food intolerances and like replacing, with digestive enzymes and probiotics. Like I had to really experiment and do a lot of work to de-stress my body and to get my gut health back in, functioning correctly and to get rid of my inflammation. And I was able, after several years, it took me a couple years because I didn't really have help. I mean, I have a great doctor who told me what was going on and said, hey, you need to de-stress. You need to take out these foods. You've got to like really focus on like slowing down. That was the extent of the advice. And so I did it all on my own. And thankfully I had enough knowledge in nutrition and exercise and sleep management, stress management that I was able to experiment and put it together myself. But that, you guys, that's my success story. My success story is that I did it. Like I did it. However, had I had guidance, had I had a coach, had I had a program, had I had something to follow, I think I would have been better faster, but I didn't. And, now I do see that there's programs out there and I do see, but they really weren't available a couple of years ago when I had this diagnosis. And since then, more and more and more and more people are being diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So what I want to do is be that bridge, the gap between the doctor and your results. Because here's the thing, our doctors, I'm not a doctor hater, so this is nothing against our doctors. The doctors are freaking busy. They don't have time to hold your hand while, and tell you what to eat and tell you this and tell you that and listen to you. They don't have time. You get to see them every 3 to 6 months, especially at the beginning of a diagnosis like this. And, they expect you to have results when you come back in 3 months. But if you don't, they don't really have any guidance on how to get you there. They'll be like, well, yeah, I guess you've had gluten. And I'm like, but I didn't. So why are my numbers not changing? You told me if I took out gluten, my numbers would change. And she's like, well, yeah, maybe you need this other supplement. Let's try that. And so I would try a supplement. It was like she was doing her best. Like this is absolutely not against her. But, she was very well-meaning. But like I said, I had no access to her in those 3 months. So I had to do it alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be that person that holds your hand. You get the diagnosis and I get to be there to help you prepare for your 3-month appointment with your doctor or your 6-month appointment with your doctor and guide you. And the cool thing is I have all the shortcuts because now I know it works, right? And now I will say it may not mean what worked for me works for you, but I know a lot more information and I know with one thing doesn't work to try another. And so that, my friends, that to me is what I am feeling passionate about. That's what gives me that fire in my belly again. That is what makes me not want to quit. Because I'll tell you, 5-6 months ago, I was ready to throw in the towel. I'm like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep sharing this message and still see the same people over and over. Still, like I'll see Facebook posts of like someone getting on a new diet or joining a new gym or, starting a new supplement or a new medication. And that's fine. Everybody has their own will and it's totally up to them. But I just feel a little bit like I was beating my head against a wall. It's like I give advice, I help, I listen, I encourage. And then when it doesn't work immediately, people are onto something else. And it's like they didn't even give my way a chance. And by the way, that's not really true. A lot of people did. And the women that followed my program, listened, have had amazing results, have done really well. And I'm super proud of that. But I think, and here's the thing, I'm not blaming the people for not following my program, because not everybody's program is the right fit. And maybe the way I said things wasn't the right fit. But I wasn't upset with the people. I was upset with myself, because I was like, why can't I just get everybody to listen? This is the whole poor me. Why can't I be better? So anyway, I wanted to quit. I had daydreams of getting a job at Starbucks. I have a local Starbucks that I go to, not as much anymore, but there's a whole group of people that are fun to talk to. It's my Starbucks friends. I know all the baristas. It's just really fun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I just want to do that. But I know it would totally drive me crazy, because while I'm in Starbucks, I hear people's conversations, and I've never been in a Starbucks or any other coffee shop or anywhere in a social setting where somebody wasn't talking about their weight or their health, their wellness, something. So I know what would happen. I know if I was a barista at Starbucks, I would be helping people order a better drink for their health. I'd probably be health coaching people as they come in. And I don't think Starbucks would like that. They'd be like, would you get out of here, because you're not selling the right amount of drinks? We need to sell more lattes. Quit selling black coffee with a splash of coconut milk. So anyway, I can't do it. When I even think about stopping this, I get that sick feeling in my stomach, because I know that I'm not done. I know that this mission, although it's evolved a little bit, my mission to help people become their best self, it's still there. It's still there. I'm not done. My brother even said to me, man, you grind. You have been grinding for years. Are you getting something out of this? Because you are working constantly. And I'm not making $1 million, right? No. And by the way, I do not make $1 million. And that's okay, because my mission is there. It's my purpose is more important to me. My purpose of helping people get the results. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm that person. I just am. And it really fires me up to see somebody do well. So I wanted to just share that with you. Season 2, we're going to be talking all kinds of mindset. We're going to be talking about stress management. We're going to talk about nutrition, a little bit of fitness talk, still the same kind of information as season 1, but I am going to be skewing the content a little bit to those that have autoimmune, those who are prone to getting autoimmune, those who have hypothyroid or have been told they have prediabetes and or hypothyroid. They all go together. So if you don't have that diagnosis, if you don't have that, you can still listen, because prevention is the key, right? Everything I talk about, every tip I give you, every little nugget that I give you is going to help you so that you don't get that diagnosis, so you always feel better. Okay? So don't go anywhere. I'm still here. And here's the deal. I want to hear from you. I want to hear whether or not you've been told that you have either hypothyroid, or maybe you've been tested for hypothyroid, but your labs always come back normal. I want to hear from you, because if you're having some of the symptoms, and in my next episode, I'm going to give you all the symptoms, but if you're having super low energy and your doctors said, let's test your thyroid, and every time they test it, it comes back normal, I want to talk to you, because that was me. So in the next 6 months or so, all I'm going to be doing is sharing information and gathering more of my own market research from you all. So please, please, please either email me at rayannmullins@gmail.com or get in touch with me on Instagram. I'm at ramfitlife, okay, on Instagram. I know that sounds kind of invalid at this point, but I'm keeping that tag, that user. Or you can find me, Rayanne Mullins, on Facebook. Send me a message, send me a text, an email, whatever, and let me know if that's you. If you've been told you have Hashimoto's, or you've been told you have hypothyroid, or you keep being tested for slow thyroid, but it always comes back in the normal range, but you still feel terrible. I want to hear from you, because talking to you guys is going to help me know how to educate more. Right? This is where I'm going. And I got to tell you, I've already created a program for Hashimoto's hypothyroid. So I'm not ready to do it yet. I'm not ready to launch that, but I will as soon as I feel ready to. But as I'm getting more of this information, it'll help me kind of, put little bells and whistles on the program to make it even more effective. So hang in there with me. If you would like to, if you're not on my email list, you can go to my show notes and sign up for my email. If you don't want to be on my email list, I totally understand, but please come back and listen to this. And if you're already on my email list, thank you. Please stay because I'm going to be sharing a lot of really great information. And hopefully, I can help you. Or if it's not you, then maybe you'll get some information that you can share with your friends or family who are going through the same thing. And finally, this time in season 2, I'm going to be sharing this podcast via YouTube as well. So I'm recording myself via camera. Totally uncomfortable for me for some reason, even though I've done a million live videos and I do videos all the time. There's something about this that feels a little weird to me, but, just know that if you do see this on YouTube, as of now, my setup is not beautiful, but I don't care because if I waited for everything to be perfect, I'll never do it. And I want that message to be passed along to you too. Don't wait to do something perfect. You just got to start. Just start taking action. Okay. We don't need to wait for things to be perfect because there's no such thing. So just do, be, move forward, evolve. No more new me, just better you, just a better me, a new, evolved, better, more experienced, awesome me and you. Okay. So you guys, thanks for being here and I will catch you next week. Take care.